we shall talk about the important systems of Periplaneta Americana. You got digestive, circulatory, respiratory, excretory, nervous and reproductive systems in this in detail for APMT syllabus, at the same time even for the EAMCET and COMEDK and all other exams. I shall give you a few important points with regard to its morphological features, then later on we will switch over to its systems. Now Periplaneta Americana happens to be the largest species among various cockroaches. It is about 4.5 to 5 centimeters long. The smallest species is Blatella germanica. Blatella germanica is the smallest species and the largest is Periplaneta americana. The two common species of cockroaches which are found in and around the house in household areas, one is Periplaneta americana, the other one is Blatta orientalis. Periplaneta americana and Blatta orientalis are the most common species of cockroaches. Periplaneta americana is commonly called kitchen pest, whereas Blatta orientalis is commonly called black beetle, and this is large in size, this is small in size. Its pronotum is with two yellow patches. It is completely black here. In this, wings extend beyond the abdomen. Wings extend beyond abdomen in both male and female. Here, in males, wings are short, shorter than abdomen, and in female they are vestigial. In female they are vestigial, which are called elytra or tegmina. In male, wings are shorter than abdomen. In female, they are vestigial. Those vestigial wings are called elytra or tegmina. Now, in Periplaneta americana, aerolium is present in the legs. It is absent in Blatta orientalis. Certain important morphological features of Periplaneta americana. Body is divisible into head, thorax and abdomen here now. The head of cockroach is formed by fusion of 6 segments and covered by 6 sclerites, 6 chitinous plates, sclerites, namely frons, 2 genae, 1 clypeus and 2 epicranial plates. It has got one single segment called frons, which is the largest. It forms the forehead. Genae are the cheek plates, they form the lateral sides of the head. Clypeus forms the lower part of the head. Epicranial plates form the upper part of the head. Now these 6 segments give rise to the 6 appendages. The first cephalic segment gives rise to compound eyes. Second cephalic segment gives rise to antennae. Third cephalic segment is not known. Fourth cephalic segment gives rise to mandibles. Fifth cephalic segment gives rise to maxillae, that is first pair of maxillae. Sixth cephalic segment gives rise to labium, which is formed by fusion of second pair of maxillae. Like this, these 6 segments give rise to head, fuse to form head. Apart from forming head, those 6 cephalic segments give rise to all these appendages. The mode of arrangement of head in cockroach is called hypognathous, because his head is at right angles to the body. As a result of that, the jaws are on lower side. That's why the mode of arrangement of head is called hypognathous arrangement. The next, thorax is three segmented with prothorax, mesothorax and metathorax. The appendages of thorax are wings and legs. Wings here now, two pairs of wings are present. Four wings are attached to mesothorax. These four wings are longer than the body. They are dark reddish brown in color and they do not help in flight. They extend beyond the abdomen, dark reddish and brown color, opaque, and they do not help in flight. And they are called elytra. They are called elytra or tegmina. Elytra or tegmina. Then hind wings are attached to metathorax. They are thin, membranous and papery. They help in flight. And the wings, both fore and hind wings, are provided with nervures. Nervures which are filled with hemolymph and branches of tracheoles. Filled with hemolymph and branches of tracheoles. Then the legs here now, three pairs of legs are present. That's why it is placed under hexapoda or insecta. Each leg has the podomeres. 6 podomeres are present. Each segment of the leg is called podomere. There are 6 podomeres in the leg. To start with, coxa, trochanter, femur, tibia and tarsus. Coxa, trochanter, femur, tibia and tarsus are the 5 podomeres. Are the 5 podomeres of the leg of cockroach. So each leg is formed by fusion of 5 podomeres, namely coxa, trochanter, femur, tibia and tarsus. In this femur is the strongest podomere. Tibia is the longest podomere. Tarsus is in turn formed by fusion of tarsomeres. In turn formed by fusion of small segments called tarsomeres, where the terminal tarsomere is called pretarsus and the pretarsus is with a pair of claws and a soft aerolium. A soft cushion-like structure that lies between two claws is called aerolium. Aerolium is also called pulvillus. Aerolium is also called pulvillus. Then on the ventral side of tarsomeres, soft pad-like structures are present which are called plantulae. The soft pad-like structures present on the ventral side of tarsomeres are called plantulae. Now aerolium and claws help in holding rough surface, whereas plantulae help in holding smooth and steep surface. Aerolium and claws help in holding rough surface. The plantulae help in holding smooth surface. Now the movement of cockroach here now, it is called tripod movement. That is, all the 6 legs are not used while walking here now. Foreleg, if you take middle leg and hind legs. So while walking here now, foreleg of one side, hind leg of the same side, middle leg of the other side. Foreleg of one side, hind leg of the same side, middle leg of the other side. Like that, all 3 of them are made use of while walking. That's why we call it tripod movement. In this, forelegs are called pullers, hind legs are called pushers, middle legs act as balancers. Forelegs act as pullers, hind legs act as pushers, middle legs act as balancers. Now abdomen in cockroach now, it is 10 segmented in adult, 11 segmented in nymph. 11 segmented in nymph. The 11th segment in adult gives rise to anal cerci. 11th segment in adult gives rise to anal cerci. Now abdomen is covered by 10 tergal plates and 9 sternal plates. Abdomen is covered by 10 tergal plates and 9 sternal plates. Now, the males are identified from the females by means of anal styles. Males are identified, distinguished from the females by means of anal styles. Anal styles are unsegmented spiny-like projections present on the 9th sternal plate. They help in clasping the female. They enable male to clasp the female during copulation. And both male and female have anal cerci on 10th tergal plate. Both male and female have anal cerci, pair of anal cerci on 10th tergal plate. Each anal cercus is 15 segmented here now, and it bears cardotonal sensillae. The anal cerci are with auditory sensillae called cardotonal sensillae. Then in female cockroach now, 7th, 8th and 9th sternal plates fuse to form a complex structure called brood pouch or genital pouch. 7th, 8th, 9th sternal plates fuse to form a complex structure called brood pouch or genital pouch. Now, female cockroach has 3 pairs of gonapophyses. 3 pairs of gonapophyses which are derivatives of 8th and 9th sternal plates. Male cockroach has 3 phallomeres. Male cockroach has 3 phallomeres which are derivatives of 9th sternal plate. Derivatives of 9th sternal plates. Now the digestive system of cockroach now. The digestive tract in cockroach now is divisible into 3 parts: stomodium or foregut, mesenteron or midgut, proctodium or hindgut. The stomodium comprises of pharynx, esophagus, crop and gizzard. Mesenteron contains only the midgut or mesenteron. Proctodium consists of ileum, colon and rectum. And stomodium and proctodium are internally lined by ectodermal cuticle. Stomodium and proctodium are internally lined by the cuticle, which is derivative of ectoderm. Whereas mesenteron or midgut has an endodermal glandular epithelium. The antemost part of the gut is called preoral cavity, which is surrounded by labrum in front, labium behind, maxillae and mandibles on lateral sides. Labrum in front, labium behind, maxillae and mandibles on lateral sides. Now this preoral cavity encloses hypopharynx or the so-called tongue, which divides the preoral cavity into dorsal, cibarium and ventral salivarium. Dorsal cibarium and ventral salivarium. There is a hypopharynx at the center. The hypopharynx divides the preoral cavity into dorsal cibarium and ventral salivarium. Now this preoral cavity opens into pharynx through mouth. Now pharynx is followed by esophagus. Esophagus is a long tube-like structure that passes through neck or cervicum. On entering thorax, it dilates to form crop. So this is the digestive system of cockroach here now, a rough sketch of digestive system of cockroach, where you can find a narrow esophagus, which is a continuation of pharynx. On either side of esophagus there are salivary glands. These are salivary glands. Now esophagus, on entering thorax, it dilates to form crop. Crop is also called ingluvius. Crop is also called ingluvius. The crop mainly acts as a storage chamber. It also facilitates digestion by borrowing enzymes of the midgut. By itself it cannot secrete any enzymes because internally lined by cuticle. So it is mainly meant for storage of food. However, it even facilitates digestion by borrowing enzymes from the midgut. Now crop is followed by proventriculus or gizzard. Proventriculus or gizzard. The gizzard or proventriculus acts as a grinding mill. Internally it has got 6 chitinous teeth. Internally it is provided with 6 chitinous teeth, which are alternately arranged with 6 chitinous pads. 6 chitinous pads with bristles. It has got 6 chitinous teeth which are meant for grinding. 6 chitinous pads with bristles are meant for filtering the food. So gizzard, on the whole, it acts as a grinding mill or maceration of the food, helps in maceration of the food. The thoroughly ground food enters into midgut, or mesenteron. Now the gizzard extends into mesenteron in the form of stomodial valve. gizzard extends into mesenteron in the form of a protuberance known as stomoidal valve that regulates the passage of food into mesenteron. Now, at the junction of gizzard and mesenteron, 6 to 8 finger-like projections called hepatic CK are present. Six to 8 finger-like outgrowths called hepatic CK are present. The hepatic CK are functionally similar to liver and pancreas of other animals. They secrete digestive enzymes. At the same time, they also help in absorption of digested food. Now, the midgut or mesenteron, the anterior part of the midgut secretes various enzymes to facilitate digestion. The posterior part of the midgut is meant for absorption of food. The midgut, apart from digestion, it also secretes a thin chitinous layer called peritrophic membrane. Apart from facilitating digestion, it secretes a thin chitinous layer called peritrophic membrane around the food so that the innermost layer of the midgut is prevented from being damaged by the hard particles of the food. Now, midgut is followed by ileum. This narrow, small, tube-like structure is called ileum, which is a part of hindgut. At the junction of midgut and ileum, thin yellowish tubules called Malpighian tubules are present. Malpighian tubules are present, which are arranged in 6 to 8 bundles now, each bundle with 15 to 25 Malpighian tubules. So, Malpighian tubules are present at the junction of midgut and ileum. Then internally it has got a sphincter which is called pyloric sphincter. This pyloric sphincter prevents entry of uric acid into the midgut. It prevents the regurgitation of food or entry of uric acid and solid waste into the midgut. Now, ileum is followed by a highly coiled colon. Colon in turn opens into rectum. Rectum internally it has got 6 longitudinal folds called rectal papillae. Internally it has got 6 longitudinal folds called rectal papillae, which are meant for absorption of water from the outgoing fecal pellets. Now, cockroach has got 2 salivary glands where each gland is bilobed here now. 2 salivary glands are present, each gland is bilobed. Now, each gland has 2 salivary lobules, 2 salivary lobes or lobules you can say, with a receptacle in between. Receptacle or reservoir lies in between. Now it has got two salivary glands where each gland is bilobed. This is a lobe of salivary gland with several lobules or acini. Each lobe is made up of several lobules or acini which are meant for secreting salivary juice. Now the duct that arises from each lobe is called interlobular duct. The two interlobular ducts unite to form salivary duct. The two salivary ducts unite to form common salivary duct. The duct that arises from each lobe is called interlobular duct. The two interlobular ducts unite to form salivary duct. The two salivary ducts unite to form common salivary duct. Now the lobules are acini. They have got secretory cells and goblet cells. Goblet cells secrete mucus, while secretory cells or zymogen cells synthesize salivary juice that contains an enzyme called salivary amylase. Now the one which is embedded between the two lobes is called receptacle or reservoir. The duct that arises from the receptacle is called receptacular duct. The two receptacular ducts unite to form common receptacular duct. The common receptacular duct unites with common salivary duct to form efferent salivary duct. The two receptacular ducts unite to form common salivary duct. The common salivary duct unites with the common receptacular duct unites with common salivary duct to form efferent salivary duct. Now this common salivary duct is also called median salivary duct. So with regard to the organization of the salivary glands, two interlobular ducts unite to form salivary duct. Two salivary ducts unite to form common salivary duct or median salivary duct. The median salivary duct unites with the common receptacular duct to form efferent salivary duct. The efferent salivary duct opens into hypopharynx. Now we shall talk about a few points with regard to mechanism of digestion and physiology of digestion here now. Cockroach detects a food with the help of olfactory sensillae of antennae, labial palps and maxillary palps. It detects the food with the help of olfactory sensillae of antennae, labial palps and maxillary palps. Then later on it seizes the food or grabs the food with the help of forelegs, labrum and labium. It seizes the food with the help of labrum, labium and forelegs. The next, mandibles are meant for mastication of food. Mandibles are meant for mastication of food. Then while being masticated here now, galea, lecinia, paraglossa and glossa. Galea, lecinia, paraglossa and glossa hold the food in the preoral cavity while the food is being masticated. Labrum and labium prevent fall of food. Labrum and labium prevent fall of food. Now the food is masticated in the preoral cavity. Afterwards it is sent into crop through pharynx and esophagus. Now in the preoral cavity itself, salivary digestion takes place. The salivary amylase breaks down the carbohydrates into disaccharides. Now from crop it enters midgut. In midgut final digestion takes place. Like disaccharides are broken down into monosaccharides by salivary amylase. Disaccharides are broken down into monosaccharides by amylase and other enzymes. like the enzyme called sucrase, which is also called invertase, breaks down the sucrose into glucose and fructose. Sucrase breaks down the sucrose into glucose and fructose. Then enzyme maltase breaks down the maltose into two molecules of glucose. Then proteases break down proteins into amino acids. Lipases break down fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Then the cellulose content of the food is acted upon by cellulase. Cellulose content of the food is acted upon by cellulase. The cellulase is secreted by the microorganisms present in the hindgut. The microorganisms of hindgut bring about digestion of cellulose to form cellobiose, which is a disaccharide. Cellobiose is in turn broken down to form glucose. Cellobiose is in turn broken down to form glucose in the presence of amylase. A thorough digestion takes place in the midgut. Afterwards, the digested food is absorbed by the hind part of the midgut and hepatic CK. Then the undigested food is sent into the rectum through ileum and colon. In the rectum, reabsorption of water takes place by 6 rectal papillae to form fecal pellets. Now, respiration in cockroach takes place by trachea. The trachea open to the exterior through spiracles. All the trachea open to the exterior through spiracles. Cockroach has got 10 pairs of spiracles. 2 pairs are in thorax. Remaining 8 pairs are in first 8 abdominal segments. Remaining 8 pairs are in first 8 abdominal segments. All 10 pairs of spiracles are functional in respiration, some of them during expiration and some of them during inspiration. That's why the type of spiracles are called holoneustic. Since all 10 pairs are functional, like thoracic spiracles are functional during inspiration, abdominal spiracles are functional during expiration. That's why the condition is called holoneustic. If any insect has more than 3 pairs of spiracles, that condition is called polyneustic condition. So, cockroach, the spiracles are holoneustic and polyneustic. Each spiracle is guarded by a chitinous sheath called peritreme. Guarded by a chitinous sheath called peritreme, and internally it is provided with several spiracular bristles or trichomes to prevent entry of dust. Internally they are provided with several spiracular bristles or trichomes to prevent the entry of dust particles. Each spiracle is guarded by a pair of spiracular valves which help in opening or closing of the spiracle during respiration. Now the spiracles are embedded in the pleural plates of thorax and abdomen. The spiracles in turn open into a sac-like structure called atrium. The atrium in turn opens into the trachea. The trachea are thin tube-like structures. They are formed by invagination of body wall. They are ectodermal in origin, formed by invagination of body wall. Each tracheum has an outer basement membrane, the middle epithelium or epidermis, and innermost cuticle. It has got outer basement membrane, middle epithelium or epidermis, and innermost cuticle. The cuticular envelope of tracheum is called intima. The cuticular thickening of tracheum is called intima. The intima is thickened at certain places due to deposition of excess chitin to form certain ring-like structures called ctenidia. The ctenidia prevent collapse of the tracheum. They keep the tracheum intact and they prevent the trachea from getting bladdered during respiration. Now in the thoracic region, each atrium gives rise to several horizontal tracheal tubules. These horizontal tracheal tubules fuse to form cephalic tracheal trunks. Horizontal tracheal tubules fuse to form cephalic tracheal trunks. There are dorsal cephalic tracheal trunk, ventral cephalic tracheal trunk, and lateral longitudinal cephalic tracheal trunk. The cephalic tracheal trunks extend deeper into the tissues of thorax to supply oxygen to the cells of or tissues of the thorax region. In the abdominal region, each atrium gives rise to three longitudinal tracheal tubules. Each atrium gives rise to three longitudinal tracheal tubules or tracheal trunks, which fuse to form dorsal longitudinal tracheal trunk, ventral longitudinal tracheal trunk, lateral longitudinal tracheal trunk. Like that, on each side, three longitudinal tracheal trunks are present: a dorsal, a ventral, and lateral. Among these, laterals are the longest. And the three tracheal trunks of one side are connected to the other side by commissures. Like the two dorsals are connected to each other by dorsal commissure, the two ventrals are connected to each other by ventral commissure, the two laterals are connected to each other by lateral commissure. Towards the end of each tracheum, there is a tracheoblast or tracheolar cell. The tracheoblast or tracheolar cell gives rise to several intracellular modifications called tracheoles. The tracheoles do not have ctenidia. However, they are deposited with a protein called trachine. The protein trachine remains intact at the time of molting, while the ctenidia and intima of trachea are shut off at the time of molting. The trachea lose their intima and ctenidia at the time of molting, whereas the trachine, the protein content of the tracheoles, remains intact. The tracheoles and the trachea are filled with tracheolar liquor that helps in respiration or exchange of gases during respiration. Now, inspiration in cockroach is a passive process. During inspiration, the dorsoventral muscles relax. The dorsoventral muscles are there connecting the tergal and sternal plates. They relax. As a result, volume of the abdominal cavity increases dorsoventrally. At the same time, dorsal longitudinal muscles also relax. Consequently, all the sclerites of the abdomen are stretched wide apart. As a result, the anteroposteriorly the volume of the thorax increases. The anteroposterior volume of thorax increases due to relaxation of dorso-longitudinal muscles. Dorsoventrally, the volume of the thorax increases due to relaxation of dorsoventral muscles. And the air enters into the trachea because of increase in volume of the thorax and abdomen. And during inspiration, thoracic spiracles are open while abdominal spiracles are closed. Expiration is an active process during which the dorsoventral muscles contract. Consequently, the thorax and abdomen are compressed dorsoventrally. At the same time, dorso-longitudinal muscles also contract. Consequently, the abdominal segments get telescoped. They start overlapping each other, and anterior-posterior also volume of the abdominal cavity decreases because of contraction of dorso-longitudinal muscles. Because of decrease in volume of thorax and abdomen dorsoventrally and anterior-posteriorly, the trachea get constricted and the CO2 present in the trachea goes out through abdominal spiracles. But major amount of CO2 gets accumulated in the hemolymph, and from the hemolymph it is sent out through the arthrodial membrane that lies between successive tergal plates. Arthrodial membrane that lies between successive tergal plates. Now in cockroach, discontinuous respiration is noticed. That is, the prolonged respiratory movements are interrupted by brief closure of the spiracles now. That is, prolonged inspiration is interrupted by brief bursts of expiration during which the spiracles remain closed here now. And during this particular process where the spiracles are closed here now, CO2 goes on accumulating in hemolymph. The most of the CO2 goes out to the arthrodial membrane, and certain amount of CO2 accumulates near the atria of the abdominal spiracles, and whenever the abdominal spiracles are open, the CO2 is sent out through abdominal spiracles. So in order to conserve water, cockroach exhibits discontinuous respiration, wherein the prolonged inspiration is interrupted by brief periods of expiration during which the spiracles remain closed, and most of the CO2, 90% of the CO2 goes out through arthrodial membrane, which acts as semi-permeable layer, prevents loss of water, and only about 10% of CO2 goes out through abdominal spiracles to play an important role in conservation of body fluids. The opening and closing of spiracles is under the control of CO2 and O2 tension. However, the respiratory movements are under the control of motor neurons of subesophageal ganglions. And cockroach gets more amount of O2 during flight by withdrawing the entire tracheal liquor from the tracheoles, making the tracheoles empty.